Hello everyone, and this is episode 64 of Double Cross Anime, and we get to like in the middle of August now, and it just been snowing here in Australia, which was nice. It actually snowing in the place where I live, which is really rare, but it
Is it
happened.
snowing right now?
It no, it's not. It's not right now. It's 2 days ago actually.
Okay.
When they play football live, imagine that. So this week we got to episode 5 of Five Forks and Vinland Saga, and episode 6 of Araburu, and episode 18 of Mix, and also the next part, episode 16 to 20 of Hedy, Girl of the Apps.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let before we start this postcard, Whooper had mentioned me there one show that he wanted us to drop.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna get to that show right now,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and tell you guys the reason why that Whooper wanted to, just don't want to watch it anymore.
Sure.
All right, let's
So
get
that
to.
show would be Araburu.
All right. So first, tell me why you just uh, from from what I remember, Araburu was our top choice in like
Mm-hmm.
back in the very first episodes. So
Yeah.
what is the chance of what make you decided not not to watch the show anymore?
I mean, we talked at length last week about how ugly it looks. Or I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everyone has their own preferences and their own opinions about what looks nice and what looks gross.
Yep.
But I think this show just like I can't stand the way it looks.
Yep.
Everyone's eyes just look so vacant. The filter over it pulls me out of every scene.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it wasn't like that in the first episode. It was not like this.
Yep.
It had a different look to it. I mean, the filter was still there, but I really thought that the story and the characters were interesting, so I overlooked it.
All right. How
But I
about
really
the
can't do that anymore. And
right? How do you feel about the character and the story in week 5 now? In week 6, actually.
I don't like. I'm just so uninterested in everything that's happening.
Hmm.
And especially like the only I usually take a few notes
So,
whenever I'm watching something, but the only thing that I could be bothered to write down about this episode was that it ended with Kazusa comedically passing out in the bath because of breast envy. Like I don't think this show is for me. It's just,
it's
like
it's not envy. It's like
yes
her
it is.
shyness, basically. I just wonder, like, in when it released in DVD, will we get like the full view of like
Oh,
the girls with
I don't
boobs?
care about that. I mean,
Hey,
maybe it would clear up the scene, you know.
yep,
Like why is she so jealous? Cuz she is fixated on this other girl
yep,
because she saw her riding the train with the
with the
guy that
boys
she
you like.
likes. Yeah. But I like the way that they chose to end the episode, but like, she passes out face down in the bath, and then the other girl's like, "Kazusa, are you okay?" Cut to the credits. What are you doing? That's
Cliffhanger.
she was like not 2 minutes before that. Or a minute, not 60 seconds before that. She was like depressed
Yep.
because she was comparing herself to this other girl. Uh, and she's a character who has low self-esteem to begin with. She's nervous and shy. So, she was like, I can't possibly hold a candle to this girl. And then she starts thinking about herself and what she's lacking. And then as a result, she passes out in the bath.
Yep. It just, yeah. Well, when you stay too long in in the hot spring, yeah, you might get dizzy. So yeah, you might pass out. I think that joke happened a lot in anime. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, I yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, you're right. It's because of the temperature that she fainted probably, but just the fact that she was all nervous about it, and the show is supposed to be committed to all the girls, like entering a new chapter in their lives, so to speak.
yep.
So it gets into that a little bit, and then we got a funny moment right before the credits. That put me off.
Right. Whew, all right.
I mean, how did you feel about that scene? Did you just feel as though like it was just normal? You didn't have
Yeah,
any particular reaction to it.
I kind of find it amusing. So I don't feel any sort of like negative feeling towards that scene. A bit awkward, but like awkward is the characters of the show. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm fine with that.
I I feel like I'm just off the train entirely. I can't get back on.
Yeah. Well, I do understand about that. The show have been more and more into romance, and like all the conflict on the thing that the girls are insecure about are not that interesting and not that depth. I don't know about relatable, but yeah. So I can see why it just starting falling off the rail for you.
Do you
Like
remember
like
this? Do you remember the
yep.
scene when they're on a train to go to this? Where is it that they go exactly? It's
The
Mio.
hot
It's
spring.
Milo Sensei's
Yep.
summer
Parents.
house or
Yep.
something.
Hmm.
Um, why aren't they concerned that he is showing up with 5 high school girls? They're just like, you know, oh yeah, welcome home.
Yeah, because
Have a great
mm,
time, girls.
yeah, well,
Get a
because
female
he's
teacher to go with you.
yeah, because he's a teacher, so they kind of trust him. Not sure.
I mean, he's their son. Obviously, they're not going to say anything like untoward.
Yep.
But I, as a viewer, I'm just like, what? How is this approved by, let's say, the girl's parents or the school?
Yeah. They just gloss over it. Hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
I
then
mean, the
they.
the concern that I have is probably informed by the fact that I know one of the girls is like trying to get with them,
Yep. Hmm.
even though there's no more like external motivation for her to do it, because the whole thing with Hongo, like she's not supposed to write that sort of book anymore.
Hmm.
Um, so now the reason that she wants to be with him is because, like, of an attraction or just a
I,
desire to know more.
I actually she still want to write what she want to write. So I think she still determined to write so many of these erotica book.
But isn't it pointed out like that she never wanted to do that in the first place? She's just trying to
Uh,
make it as a writer.
yeah. I think like in this episode we have like a view of her that like she actually kind of enjoy writing those stories.
Hmm. Okay, I didn't really get that. The meeting with her agent when he was
Yep.
like, "Oh, that's nobody wants to read a high school girl doing that. You gotta." I can't even remember the new thing that he asked her to write because I don't really like. I'm not interested in
Yep.
her writing career. I don't know. I just don't really like any of the characters very much.
Right.
How about you? Which of the 5
That I care about the most.
yeah, like which story are you most eagerly following?
All right. I I think it's all right. Correct. Character wise, I think I like Hongo's. I like her. Like being struggle as as a writer and trying to experience new things. I don't like I don't like her story with the teacher though, because it's getting more and more pervert for whatever reason. I don't know why, and I don't think that teacher is you know he's a bit sick.
The scene where she's like standing in the they're both standing in the stairwell,
Yeah,
and she's like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do
yeah.
it,
It
and
just
he's just like, he just has a completely passive expression on his face,
yeah,
or not
not
passive,
interested.
like, yeah. I don't really sense any urgency in the storyline. Like, her motivation for doing this is gone, so now it's all about the one time that she like jumped on top of him and had that really intense like physical experience. Now I think she's probably running off that. But
Yep.
since I didn't really like that scene very much to begin with, now everything that's kind of unfolding afterwards as a result
I
is
I
just kind
think
of like,
the
meh.
yeah the I think the general feeling about this girl is how we feel about them, and them by themselves are uncomfortable. So like they are pushed into an uncomfortable situation, and they um and the writer Okada just tried to push them, like towards like outside of their comfort, basically. So I think the feeling of uncomfortable is there. I don't necessarily feel that it support the story. Like I know I don't know my favorite characters, but I know my least favorite characters, which is the president. I just care. I just don't care about her story at all.
That's so strange. Or it's not strange, but I am different. Like, to me, the she might be the most interesting character,
All right.
maybe.
Yeah.
But we
I
rarely see her, like,
Yep.
she seems to be the, now that she's made this transition or whatever into some model looking
Yep.
girl with
With
a
a
with a
boyfriend.
secret boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, is the show seems to be nearly done with her. And she's planning on using whatever trip. Wait, how many other, is it just the five girls on this trip? Because doesn't she say on the train, on the way there, like, I'm gonna create a forest, you know? She's speaking like metaphorically. She says something about, I'm gonna create a forest where we can share our
Yeah.
love, or something.
Um.
So
All
are there
right.
other kids on this trip?
About the script, I think this is just like five of them. Oh, it's about the bonfire basically. So like it's involve everyone basically.
Right, everything in this episode turned on the fact that they have to come up with some urban legend for
Yep.
the, like, it, I don't know, it just seems so thin to me. How they
It
they have
is.
this meeting at the start of the episode with some characters who are like, "Oh, well, here's the plot for this week, guys."
Yep.
And then they spent, like, the rest of the episode's just wheel spinning, like, "Oh, you know,
Yeah,
what
and
if
and
this were the urban legend? What if this were the myth? What if this were the superstition?"
yep. And the thing is, they try to build up the urban legends out of the bonfire and out of the firework, which like they have been banned, or the teacher want to ban them because it's what do they say it
No, it's the president wants to. The president of the literature club
yeah.
was the one who submitted those requests.
I that sound like her. So is that make do they make it clear that it's her to do who did that?
Yeah, she admits to it.
Yeah, because it sounds exactly like her actually.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, when they started to bring that stuff up in the room, you could, like, the camera cut to her just with a totally blank, like, stone faced expression. It was
Yep.
clear, like, that was supposed to be her. But then afterwards she says, like, all the girls are like, who could have done such a thing? She says, "You rang."
You're right. Yep. Yep. Well, it's funny when we talk it like that, you know.
I mean, maybe the reason that her character is most interesting to me is that she's uh, the whole issue with her is that she's like a prude. But it's clear that uh, she wants to experience love and she wants to be beautiful and like even though she's so wishy-washy and hesitant about this sort of stuff, it's clear what she actually wants.
Yeah, I think her character is the more interesting, maybe because what what she usually behave, and what she really wanted to do, the margin is wide. It's like, and we can see that as well. It's like a whole totally different person.
Yeah. I
So
maybe that's like with this show I really can't say because I don't know, I just don't have the level of investment to really put it down super hard,
right,
or to pick out the things that I really like about it.
yep. And
But
needless
a
to
lot of
say,
go ahead.
yep. Oh, I just say needless to say, I don't think that you are really pay much attention to the love triangle, Kazusa, Sugawara, and the boy.
Izumi.
Yeah, Izumi.
Yeah, I'm not really that interested. Like the whole plot with her trying to make Kazusa jealous
Yep.
by not clearing up the fact that there's nothing going on between she and Izumi. No, I'm not. I'm not interested in that. Like in contrast to the president,
Yep.
who there's it's clear what her motivation is, and that she's
Mhm.
like engaging in some amount of self denial. Kazusa is far more like she likes Izumi, but she won't commit to anything. She's just waiting
Yep.
around nervously for nothing to happen. Whereas
That's right.
the president is having scenes like the rooftop scene with the guy where she writes down, on the his little love confession,
Conf-
the 50
yep.
page epic that he wrote, and she does all the corrections and
Corrections.
stuff, and then it's revealed
Yep.
on the last page she's like, "Yeah, let's go out." I don't know. At least something is going on there.
Right.
Even if it's kind of dorky, you know, that
Yep.
something is happening, and it's clear that their relationship will continue to develop because the guy is like, he is also interested in things moving along, whereas Izumi and Kazusa, they're just in a holding pattern.
Yep.
I don't know, and I don't expect that will develop very naturally, because it'll
Yep.
it'll just be Sugawara being like, "Oh, I'm the fairy godmother, and
Yep.
you two are both my dolls. Now kiss."
All right. All right. For me, I still wow. I'm not say that all the characters are my favorite, and I don't really say that I do care much about them like passionately. It's still an interesting story for me, so I will watch it to the end. We're like halfway through already, so yep.
Yeah, it's true. We're halfway through. For me, the halfway point is a great place to drop stuff.
Yep. Fair
Um,
enough.
because if you aren't enjoying something and you commit any more to it, then like why have you watched more than half?
Yep.
You know. But of course, if you are still interested in it, then you gotta see it through, man.
Right. All right. So let's just get to the next shows. Now, now that is like off our head now. I'm thinking of Five Fox.
Okay.
All right, let's go with
So
Five
this
Fox.
this is your least favorite of the four, I assume.
Right. I still alright to watch it. It's not something that I really really passionate about.
Yeah.
And let's just say like this episode is the pacing still real quick. So they basically company eight, our company, um, basically just come to division 5 in order
Yeah.
to get the paper and all the information. Basically, the fight between the two division companies.
Yeah, the whole intrigue of the different divisions having different political
Method.
agendas and
Yep.
being controlled by different organizations and agencies
Yep.
isn't really allowed to unfold with any sort of grace.
Yep.
Captain Obi is just like, okay, well, we're gonna storm Division 5 now. We're gonna go in there and just kick everyone's ass. But to to be honest, as I'm watching Fire Force, to me, I've already pretty much given up on the show being like
Intelligent.
a super coherent, and like the whole world that it's constructed for itself, for it to like naturally kind of extend outwards, like for it to flower or for there to be a web built, like starting from the center and moving outwards. I've already given up on that.
Yep.
So now I'm just in it for all the, I guess, the fireworks, pun intended.
Right.
Just for the ideas, like purely as not as a story that like tells itself chapter after chapter, but just as an outline, like an illustrated outline.
Yep.
I
All
don't know
right.
if that
Because
makes any sense.
think about that. This plot points in this episodes, we got Arthur, the knight. When he fight with the with the
Infernal.
Inferno. Oh my god! How I always forget the name Inferno. He he can draw any special abilities and he doesn't know why. And it turned out that he used left hand instead of his strong hand. How that even possible?
Yeah, that was really dumb.
Yeah, I I can't understand, man. I, but we got another interesting point. We got Iris, the nuns from our company, from company 8. They actually some kind of sisters with with the princess of company 5.
They're not sisters. In
They are
terms of
sisters, not in terms of blood, but in terms of they come from um the same background.
yeah, yeah, we learned that in this episode, I guess.
Yep.
I really liked the scene where she's in the chapel
Yep.
when she's still at Division 8.
Yep.
Um, she's in the chapel by herself and she's praying, the usual prayer, like that
Yep.
ends with "May thy soul return to the great flame of fire." And it's clear based on how the episode opens, where she's praying, that something is like on her mind, something is weighing on her, and it makes sense that we would like pivot to focusing on her character like this because of the relationship that she has with Hibana.
Yep.
Um, since they like butted heads in the previous episode, her squad and Division 5, then like I think it's appropriate that she would that we would get this little bit of information that they knew each other in the past, and that we would start moving towards focusing on her character a bit. And so the reason I really like that scene is because when she's praying that prayer, it seems to me as though she's like directing it at Hibana.
Yep.
So when she's saying like "May thy soul return to the great flame of fire," she's kind of already like in the back of her mind, she's given up on her former friend and her former, I guess,
Family member.
yeah. They kind of I guess they were living in a convent before, I suppose is
Correct.
what you would call it, because all the sisters were living there, all the nuns were living there, and so they were each other's family, in a manner of speaking. So it's like she's cutting off a family member from herself by praying this prayer, and kind of acknowledging to herself the fact that Hibana is like an enemy now, a threat now, and needs to be, you know, she needs to be taken care of one way or another. And so she sets out on her own to like try to convince her before that step becomes necessary, but she's too far gone. So there's a bit of like a bit of sadness and a bit of tragedy to what's happening here, but a lot of it is lost underneath the switch of the sword from the left hand to the right and the bubblegum guy.
That's cool. All right, and we also know the special ability of the other member of Company 8,
the second in command guy.
Yeah. What his? I just try to look up his name now. He won. He won. Hinawa.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one who can control the bullet.
Right. He uses his control over fire in order to lessen the explosive power, so it doesn't. Yeah, that was. And then he makes the bullets ricochet and stuff. It's just, it's just nuts. But at least I kind of have fun when I watch it. I can shake my head and laugh at it.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Yep.
I guess his power is just more. It's just superior to the guy who blows explosive bubbles using gum.
Yep. Oh my god. You see how he used the bullet? So it's like he can tweak the directions so that when it bounces on the crowd, it will bounce off like crazy.
Yeah, he's got the ricochet ability.
Jesus
and the
Christ.
mid-air directional change ability.
My god. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I kind of liked it. Like,
yeah,
I know that it's just silly, but
ridiculous.
When I watch it, I'm like, oh, I guess this is happening now. I can smile along with what's going on.
Yep. So but to say that, I still don't know like how this would end. Do you think that they're gonna destroy the whole company 5?
I don't know, dude. There's no there's no rhyme or reason to any of this, really.
Right.
They'll probably treat Hibana as like a shonen boss type of character and end up defeating her.
Oh,
I doubt they'll kill her.
No. So I think that they're gonna defeat her, and then she's gonna be a commander, some sort of supporting characters in the future. So they still work separately, individually, but in many cases she would give them her knowledge or informations.
Right. Yeah, it's probably not a coincidence that they've introduced her as an antagonist so early if she does have this information about spontaneous human combustion.
Yep.
Because then by defeating her, they gain access to that knowledge, which can then move the story in a whole bunch of different directions. Whatever the author so chooses.
That's right. So, yeah.
But, even once that little... I'm not saying like the reason for human combustion will be clarified or anything, but even if it were, I doubt that this series would suddenly like shape up and start telling a legitimate story, where they move towards a goal in very slow and methodical fashion. I think it's still going to be like feeling like a bit of a hodgepodge.
Yep.
Because all the characters are so they're all eccentrics. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I do enjoy this series, like compared to Araburu, let's say, is that all these characters are they're eccentrics.
Yep.
They aren't just like, wood carvings who are being kind of like pushed along through the story on a little hand cart. Someone is like just wheeling them through from episode to episode. They're like statues that have been brought to life. and they don't have any idea how like human society works. So they're just going nuts and bouncing off the wall at all times. But hey, I'll watch that.
All right.
I'm
Um,
reaching for a metaphor here to explain
but but
my
but
interest.
really, I really come to enjoy these the weird, you know, exchanges in conversation that we've been talking about in the last few weeks now. I come to really enjoy those scenes, you know.
What where the characters are their dialogue is like kind of off kilter.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, that's right. I
You know
like
the
it.
I'm still baffled by every time Shinra and Arthur talk
Yeah.
in their room, like in their bunk
Yep.
beds. It never makes sense to me what they're saying.
Well.
But everybody else is they got their own unique personality.
Yep. 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 All right. You got any other notes on Five Force?
I mean, Hibana, just her the way that her character has changed from my favorite part of this episode is everything having to do with Iris.
All right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the way that Hibana's character has changed, uh, as compared to Iris's memory of her.
All right.
Like she dresses so provocatively now as compared to before.
Mm.
Obviously, she was covered up head to toe because she was a nun.
Yep.
And she's claiming that the fire god that everyone worships is nothing but a myth.
Yep.
It's just, he's just a story, and it's that coming from her has a little bit more weight than coming from somebody else because she is like up to her neck in
Yep.
this like dark occultic research.
Yep.
So she probably understands the truth of the world as it exists now better than most people.
Yep.
At the same time, though, she comes off as totally unhinged. Like the scene where she's torturing the infernal, she's
Yep.
stabbing it with those two little, I don't know, sticks or whatever those were.
Right.
So I feel like there's an interesting mix when it comes to her character of like intelligence and knowledge, but
Yep.
also like craziness
All
and
right.
like borderline insanity.
Yep. Um, I remember the conversation she had with Iris about how the nun's job in all this is just like a what's he say um just a cream on top. So it just like it
They're just
just
like
like
decorations.
a decoration. That's right.
I can't remember
So
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember the
yep.
exact word she used, but yeah, they're
Uh,
just like window dressing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. So I think that's come from like a loss of faith, a more like when she realized that like what she been built like she what she been spending whole life building up for one thing, and it's turned out to be just crashing down on her.
Right.
So it I can sense the disappointment in that, and maybe the resentment as well. So that bit of information like hint a lot about her characters, but like other times it's just so over the top. She just so oh my god, so anime drop
Yeah.
that I have a hard time care for her.
Right. Yeah, this show is definitely over the top.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
not at all times because other times it's constructing really bizarre
Yeah.
conversations for
True.
itself or there's like weird
Even
patches of silence or whatever. This isn't
e-
like a Gurren Lagann type of series.
and even like the structure of the whole story is still bad for me, but it's in a good way because I don't know what come next.
Yeah, I guess that's a positive
Yeah.
in a certain respect.
That's right.
Yeah, it's I like I said I've given up on it being, it's not even slowly constructing like a large scale universe for itself in the way that like an ordinary shonen series would, where you start small with a character at like some sort of school or
Yep.
their
Yep.
hometown or whatever, and then they set off on a journey, and it isn't doing anything by the book.
Yep.
And I don't really respect that, I guess, but I can live with it.
Yep. Yep. Somehow it's refreshing. So yeah, despite all the flaws, I think I'm still really happy to watch it.
All right, well, that's good.
To complain about it, like
Yeah.
basically.
Let me know if you want to drop it. Fair is fair.
Right. All right. Let's get to the next one, which is let's go with Vinland Saga,
Okay.
the original episodes.
Yeah, I would never have known, if
Yep.
if I didn't know, but I know, so now I know.
I'm not either because it takes place just right after episode 4,
Hmm.
and so everything come neatly into place, basically, and,
I guess.
yeah, I guess, and we just see like Thorfinn, they struggle to basically survive. Um, I hope that he will be more grow up soon because I can bear with him in this episode. I don't know if I can stand him in the next few episodes if he keep behaving like this.
Why? What's he doing wrong?
He keeps just charging ahead. Like he should have known that he's like no match
Askeladd.
for Askeladd. So
He's a little kid.
or like basically he's just too prideful. That's the scene.
Prideful.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but I think he's motivated more by revenge and anger and hatred than pride.
All right. If he would driven by those things, he would have slashed Askeladd head.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
It is.
guess. Yeah.
So
It's true. He says, "I'm Thorfinn, son of Thor's, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, god of the Norse, whatever."
I want to challenge you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess you could say he's prideful, but I mean, all. It's hard for me to talk about. Like all people are prideful, and kids are very prideful.
Mhm.
But
I don't think Askeladd is that prideful. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
yeah,
But what I'm getting at is that Thorfinn's he's still just a young boy. Like
Right.
him having that sense of pride, and not wanting to kill Askeladd, who was awake the whole time.
Yep.
Pretty sure he would have reacted if he had sensed that Thorfinn was about to like really do it.
That's right.
But the Thorfinn's pridefulness, like talking about how he's Thor's son and how he wants to have a 1-versus-1 duel and all that, that's not really. I mean, that's been taught to him, I suppose, not by his father, who is a completely different man than everyone else in the village, but
By the village.
like, do you remember? Yeah, because do you remember how like all happy the people in the village were, like, oh, it's time to go off to fight. It's time for battle. Got to
Right.
enter Valhalla and come home with a barrel full of gold coins or whatever.
Yep.
So Thorfinn appearing to be so prideful, I feel like is learned behavior.
Right.
And like how can you deny the scene from the previous episode at the very end when he's like a wild animal,
Yep.
screaming at the top of his lungs that he's going to kill Askeladd, like if it's the last thing he does, if he has to die himself in the process, he's gonna kill this guy like viciously.
Mm-hmm.
He's certainly angry, and revenge is. I mean, it's Askeladd who he wants to kill, regardless of how he does it. He has his sights set on.
Yep. it's just a thing that yeah he too young to understand, but it's just a thing that he had to know the difference in skills in everything. He just weak basically, so he had to know that he need to improve himself before he reached to the level of Escalade in order to kill him. What is the point of like now trying to challenge him and die?
The the point the point is that he's mad as hell.
All right.
He's exercising that anger by
Yep.
charging at a guy who's like twice as tall as he like at least twice as tall as he is,
Yep.
and probably like 10 times as strong
Yep. Yep.
and 20 times as skilled.
And
He's
it investing
he's
to see
he's
like
still a
how
child. This is still the first part of the story.
yeah, that's right. It's interesting to see how Escalade and the gang basically don't know what to do with him. Basically, I think they don't try to kill him. They sometimes try to support him. They sometimes just let him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically, I think they just find him maybe amusing.
Yeah,
So
they
like,
well they're at everything they do, they're in it for the sport. Like even
yeah,
when they were trying to kill Thor's, who's like a big time Viking warrior,
yeah,
uh, they didn't just shoot him full of arrows as soon as their boat was trapped in the
yep,
the little narrow column there.
yep.
So they wanna see blood, man.
Yep.
They want to make it interesting.
Oh, sorry. We see in the episode when they just kill the whole village, just for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Their brutality is kind of glossed over a little bit.
Right.
Probably because Askeladd is going to be like a main character going forward.
Yep.
I mean, we see scenes of people getting murdered and houses being burned and like women being dragged along by their hair while they're or
Yep.
just a woman being dragged along by her hair while she's
Yep.
grasping her child.
Yep.
Um, it's terrible,
Yep. It is.
but the show is already glossing over it a little bit.
Right.
I just got kind of depressed thinking about that just now.
Yeah. It actually really good when the show take a look at Dolphin Sisters and basically the life of the people at home. I think that's kind of like refreshing because like Dolphin Sister is she's just strong. She's strong like she's strong like her father.
Well, she's trying to be strong,
She tried to be strong. Yes, that's right. Uh, I
but
think
then we get the why am I crying
yeah.
scene
Well,
that
well,
it happens in like every anime.
but I actually think of this one is powerful. Where it's delivered at. Um, yep. We also see Toffee like basically learn the skill to survive.
Right. Yeah, that's the bulk of the episode.
Yep, that's right.
Him out in the wilderness killing a wolf or stabbing a wolf and I can't remember if it died or if it ran away.
It's not a spot.
Okay. Yeah, he's learning how to throw knives and slash
Yep.
buckets and
Nice.
I don't know. I was kind of I wasn't like that into this episode.
Right. I still think it's a really worthy episode. Not as strong as like the last one, but still a very good one.
Oh, I mean, it definitely can't really compare to the last one. The last one looked really nice. I feel, but this one not so much. Like it's time for more gripes about visuals.
All right.
Vinland Saga is like a historical epic,
Yep.
and a lot of attention is paid to the like when you're close up on a character, a lot of attention is paid to their facial features and
Mm.
their outfits and stuff. But there are a lot of shortcuts going on in terms of the animation. Like the scene, do you remember the scene where he Thorfinn ties a bucket to the branch of a tree,
Right.
and he's like
Yep.
slashing at it with his knife?
Yep.
If
Yep.
you
Yep.
go back and rewatch that scene, the slashing motions with his knife, like the cutting motions, it looks like he's just waving his hand, like he's waving his arm, like hello or
It
goodbye, and they
it's
just
like
stuck.
boxing.
They no, it's not
All right.
boxing at all. It looks like he's waving, like as a
Yep.
greeting, or
Yep. 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 Yep.
and
Right.
they just put a knife in his hand and like stuck him in front of that tree so that the knife would appear to interact with the bucket.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And even like the scene when Ylva, when she goes spear hunting for the
Yep.
fish,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if it was supposed to be like a whale that came in too close to their
Yep.
village, or what it was supposed to be. But that scene, which is it's pretty important scene because it's supposed to be her uh, distracting herself from her father's passing. She's
Yep.
throwing herself totally into her work and taking every opportunity that she can in order to like join in with others in what they're doing. But like that scene is so badly directed.
Mm.
She's in the boat, and the camera stays close up on her as she throws the spear at the fish, and you hear the sound of the fish being impaled by the spear,
Yep.
and it's a completely inappropriate sound. It's like Quong! Like she's just I don't know. The sound effect's totally wrong, and the camera holds on her as like she's just completed this really like vivid and intense action, and then only as the fish is like as it's been hit with the spear, only as it begins to submerge back underneath the waves do we cut to a wider shot. So you miss the critical moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could go on, like I
Right.
think I think that this show being so committed to like realism, you know, be it a combination of its background art and its attention to detail when it's close up on a character and its historical accuracy, like the combination of all those things makes me expect realism, like no matter where I look.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is, it's evident that this is a TV anime.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly a very big problem for me.
Yep. I think they like start with the prologue first when they doing the productions. So like from now on the production is like it is not as smooth as crisp as like the first four episodes. So I think I can totally expect the slightly drop of the animation quality there.
I don't want to see that.
Uh, well, we got like 24, 26 episodes or more, so that's gonna happen sometime soon, you know.
I'm just gonna be looking like every scene. I'm gonna be like, did they get it right? Did they get it right?
All right.
Feels so bad because like
All right.
I really like Berserk.
Yep.
Like the '90s Berserk. I mean, that show is full of, stills and panning
Mm-hmm.
shots and wonky looking characters and stuff. But I'm
Yep.
totally captivated by the story.
Yep.
So that's I guess what I need from Vinland Saga
Mm-hmm.
is for the story to like every single week to bring it every time, so that I'm just uh, always interested in how Thorfinn is changing and what the other characters are doing around him and how his relationship with Askeladd is progressing or devolving. I'm just gonna need the story to carry. I guess I don't know.
Yep. All right. I think it's time for the next shows. Shall we?
Okay.
All right. Let's get to mix.
All right. Bowling.
It's a pretty bowling, raining, thunderstorm.
Bowling.
I was about to say it's a one of these like uneventful episodes in mix, but yeah, we have bowling. We have thunderstorm again. We have a date, a half date.
Yeah, the whole thing of like, is this a date or is this not a date? I don't
Yeah.
really get that personally, and I think that's a cultural thing. Like, that's maybe just a Japanese thing,
All
where a
right.
guy or I mean, you should like no matter what culture you're a
Yep.
part of or that you belong to, I suppose you should make your intentions clear in most scenarios, not just romantic ones. Like you should be clear. Um, but he like this dude asked her out to go bowling, and she
Yep.
invited along one of her orbiters.
A rival.
Yeah,
Yep.
and would like was totally
Or
clueless. I guess.
all right.
She's a kid though. She's like what 15, something like that.
Yeah, 15, 16.
So well, she can't be 16 because she's not in high school.
Oh yeah, see, I think 15,
Yeah, around
14,
there.
15. Yeah, around that.
So yeah, it's not as though she's got a lot of dating experience or anything, but whatever. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I thought yeah, this episode was pretty uneventful, as you said.
Um, I do see the two sides of like the two character when they say about it's a dead thing or not. I kind of appreciate how they behave because they behave not childishly. They actually behave with respect to each other. So I think that was really nice. Like one of the nice part in the whole stories, in the whole of these episodes.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we get. I think the problem with this episode is like we still don't get a lot of like four main characters interact with each others, and or any baseball, which is like two of the main part of it mix.
I mean, the show is more about the middle school characters than the high school characters at this point. It has been for
Yep,
like a couple episodes now.
yep. That's right.
So is that a sign that the time skip is coming? I don't know.
Uh, I think they have to deal with this. Is that his name? Yeah, Akai. So they have
Yeah,
to.
Akai is his family name. Yeah.
All right. They have to deal with this uh with, with this plot thread first before the time skip. So I think we still gonna stick there for like the next few episodes, like two or three.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think it's gonna finish soon, anytime soon.
yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, this school year will probably wrap up with the end of like the second core,
Yep. So
because
I don't.
they are dragging their feet a little bit with this whole
That's
Akai
right. That's
story.
right.
Like we still don't know what the deal is between him and his brother, and you can kind of guess based on the way that this episode ends with Rio like really killing it in
Yep.
at the batting in the batting cages.
Yep.
Like maybe the reason that his brother is so like brutal towards him is because
He was good at that as well.
yeah he was good at baseball and he chooses not to do it. Like
Yep. Yep.
I don't know. That seems like to me that seems like a really shitty reason to be so callous and so cold towards a family member. But
Or
yeah, I mean, given how, like we see that he's hitting ball after ball, he's hitting home runs and stuff.
yep.
Um, that probably contributes at the very least to why their relationship is so messed up.
he's maybe gonna be a cleanup battle for Messi in the next year. Who
Once he gets to
knows?
high school, yeah.
When he get to high school, that's right. So the question is, can Messi get to final this year? Because we have that's very conversation between Haruka and her dad right in
Yeah,
the beginning.
Haruka laying an accidental smackdown on her dad.
Yeah,
Where
that was brutal. That was nice to see.
that was nice to see.
Yeah, that was nice to see like
Oh
how she
no,
just like
that was awful. I felt so bad for him.
oh my god.
His only child, and the only family member, the only like immediate family member who's still in his life because his wife left him, or
Yep.
the, and she's like, wait a minute, do you have any redeeming qualities as a coach whatsoever, or as a leader, or as a man? Like,
Oh
ouch.
my god. That really nice.
The one thing that did interest me about that scene is that her initial like motivation, it seems like she really likes baseball and she wants the
Hmm.
team to win, and she probably still has a crush on Toma,
Yep.
although the show really hasn't visited that in a while, so I would like them to go back to that at some
Yeah.
point.
And
um,
yep. Go on.
so like you've got all that going on, that there are other reasons for her to want the baseball team to succeed, but it seems like at the start of her conversation with her dad, she mentions like wanting to show her mom,
Yep.
uh
I
how great a leader her dad is.
Yep. I actually think that it's also one of her motivation is to win, is to get her mom acknowledge her dad.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like, and I've gotten that sense from her kind of subtly in other scenes as well. Like, even though she seems to have it all together, she is kind of torn up about the fact that her mom and dad are separated. But she doesn't let on to that at all.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And that is her character, so I can see that happens. And yep, I can see why she act the way she is. So that's a really good bit of characterization for me.
yeah, but it's just too bad that it had to evolve into, you know, like the roast of
Destroying
Goro.
her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And apart from that, we have Toma actually care about if Otomi is going for a date or not. So like
Yeah.
he questions the his mom about what she wearing and what
Oh God.
and he make a note out of this, you know. He actually kind of serious about that.
Yeah, and it's kind of two-faced of him because he says to Soichiro,
Yep.
when So is like, "Oh, I guess she went out on a date, or I guess she left the house." I can't remember the precise details of the conversation, but he's like, "Aren't you curious?" And Toma says, "No, that's the number one way to get a family member to hate you." The
Yep. And
implication
he did
being that
that.
like you don't mess with like a family member's love life. That's their business.
No. Actually, the conversation was like Shoichiro asked him if he want to call her, and he said like no. That's the number one way to get your family member hated you. So he's not
Oh,
gonna
okay.
call her to ask for if she going on a date, but he gonna ask her out.
Yeah, that's still like he's trying to play it cool.
Yep.
But he ends up giving his mom a multiple choice quiz about his stepsister's excitement level for this date.
That's right.
Or is it a date? Woo! Japanese
That's
romantic politics.
that's pretty nice actually.
What's
Man,
nice?
I really love all these little things about all these characters. I just wish to see more of these
I just want
instead
to
of
see. Go ahead.
instead of like the whole romances of the a second middle schoolers.
Yeah, get the middle schoolers out of my face.
That's right.
I mean, I was okay with them in this episode. I at least like the development that Akai is a good baseball player, which it was
Yep.
kind of expected.
Mm.
But the way that the show brings it out, like him totally blowing Natsuno out at the batting cages,
Yep.
was pretty entertaining.
Yep.
And I do like that he's very earnest in his like trying to broaden his relationship with Otomi.
Ultimate. Yep.
Yeah, he's a little bit too much of a quote unquote nice guy at
Yep.
times, but he did ask her out like pretty quickly, and he does seem to really admire her and respect her.
Mm.
Um, so I do have some hope that all this middle school stuff is going to pay off. Like once they finally get to the high school and they join the team, then we won't have so many nameless nobodies like yelling out who they are at the top of their lungs to impress Haruka during during practice. We're gonna have like a full team full of people who we know and care about.
Solid. That's right.
Hopefully that will be the end result of all this middle school stuff.
Yep. We haven't get into the part where the girl who like him come to visit the house and meet his brother. And actually, this time, he invite her in.
Yeah, because he knows about her connection to
Yep.
like the all-star pitcher, her
Yep.
brother.
Yep. So.
And then they just left that hanging, like they didn't follow up on that scene at all, which I thought was very strange.
I think they're gonna follow up in the next episodes.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then that just goes to show like even further how like slow this section of the story is being treated.
I actually really enjoy the way that the show introduced that date, because at first we see how Akai was isn't at home, and then we see how Otomi isn't at home, and then we learn that Otomi might go out for a date, and then we eventually learn then that they are in a date together in
Right.
in bowling with another guy as well. So
Yeah.
I really like the way that like the show set up the date.
Right. Yeah. It was interesting, and not
Yep.
only that, but all the different phone calls that she had to take,
Yeah. That's
without
right.
without seeing her take any of the calls, from what I
Yep.
remember. It was
Mm-hmm.
all like, exterior shots of the house, or her mom being like, "Otomi, the phone for you. It's
Yep.
another guy."
And even like one of the guy call her, and remember one of the guy who called her, and he act exactly like a stalker.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't remember his name.
Yep.
Nishimura, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
One.
the star pitcher from the other school.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I thought the episode was all right.
Yeah. It all right. It's a bit uneventful, but it's all right. Oh my god. I just love more interaction between all these four characters. Please let them talk together. Please let all these romance, like spring out. Not like all these side stories like that, like this.
Yeah, to me, it just seems to be a signal that the show is preparing itself to move into the second year of high school.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're not gonna watch. We're not gonna have a chance to watch that anytime soon.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'll start reading the manga.
I might try out, or I might just watch the original touch.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too.
All right.
Because it's 100 episodes. It's like
Yeah, it's only 100 episodes.
it's always gonna be there for you. I'm bored. What am I gonna do? I'll just watch an episode of Touch. There's like 96 more.
It's just like double the length of cross game.
Yeah,
Not
it's
that
just two
much.
cross games.
Yeah,
No big deal.
and you watch cross game like in a day, right? So it's just
Yeah.
2 days for you. All right.
All right. So shall we move on to Heidi?
Yep, let's do that. Oh my god, Heidi is heartbreaking.
I know. I know.
Jesus Christ! I did. I didn't. All right. I was expecting that girl, that blonde girl, will appear soon, but I didn't expect that. We change the whole sceneries into like a place where Heidi clearly doesn't enjoy.
Yeah,
And
it's terrible.
what you take on Dete decisions?
Uh, it's bad. It's awful. She tricks her into
Or
to going with her.
all right, she did trick her to go into with her, right? But that's come from like she really love her. She really care about her, and she really
Nope.
wanted her to
Nope.
to to be good,
Nope.
to lead a good life.
No.
Uh,
Absolutely not. Okay, here's why.
all right.
When she returns to the village and talks to grandfather, she
Yep.
alludes to the fact that this girl, Clara, is in poor health. And
Hmm.
what if something were to happen
Yep.
and her father decided that he couldn't live without a child and he adopted Heidi. And Heidi were adopted into this very well-to-do family. And
Yep.
she practically has dollar signs in her eyes, or yen signs, or whatever currency they use in Germany or Switzerland.
Yep.
Like, she is manipulative. I mean, she doesn't have a mustache to twirl or anything, and it's not as though she's like, acting cruelly towards Heidi. I mean, honestly, I would argue that what she did was pretty cruel.
Mm.
But she doesn't hurt her. She tugs on her arm a little bit to get her to
Yep.
come along. And I mean, she ignores Heidi's wishes. That's the worst part.
All right, but
Um,
all right. When she said like she tricked Heidi to come with her, yes, she did, but she actually apologized her for that later on.
so, okay, yeah, apologizing. It's not as though it's useless or pointless. It's important to apologize, especially to children, so that
Yeah.
they learn that if you do something wrong, you ought to apologize. But like, so what? So what? She apologized. She took her hundreds of miles. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was really that far, but she took her away from the place that she loved and the people that she loved,
Yep.
where she wanted to be. She like robbed her of her life, and
Yep.
she's now like Heidi. She loves being out in nature and everything, and the windows are always like battened down.
Yep.
She's like it. She's basically imprisoned her,
Yep. Well,
all
that's
because
it.
she has her own personal view of like what life is all about. It's about improving your status and accumulating wealth.
Yep.
She's forcing that onto a little girl who
That
loves
actually.
her.
All right. That actually a bad way to frame it. Like if we frame
What
it like
other way
another
is
way.
there?
Alright, if you frame it another way, if you frame it like she wanted Heidi to be more comfortable in life because
No.
of these advances that she take now. That's the because I think this show like provide a pretty good point of like exploring the two extremes because we see the extreme of the grandpas who refuse to let her to study, to go to school, or to even contact to their villagers.
Hmm. Yeah.
And now we see like the other extreme where like she will have the education, but like she will have to give up her freedom, like her nature and stuff.
Yeah, she has to literally give up her freedom because she's trapped in this house.
That's right. Oh, and even friendship. So like this is like another kind of friendship to her as well. So I think this is the show right now is provided the very two extreme, and what Hedy gonna do is like she gonna take all the good things from the two and become like her own, like to figure out what she really like,
Yeah.
and to take like all the strength from both extremes.
Yeah.
So I think that is really good point, because we see like how aggressive the her grandpa can do to protect her in his own way.
Yeah.
But by
It's
saying that, I don't really appreciate how, like how he talked to the preacher, and how no, I don't really appreciate how the preacher, like tried to frame him for all this problem and said like he had to bring Hedy to school. I just don't like the way he framed, all this.
well, I yeah, it's tough. The show definitely doesn't commit to one point of view or another,
Right.
which is good. You know, like you said, we get both sides.
Yep.
Um, man, the conversation between grandfather and the pastor was like intense.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Heidi was playing. You know, you could see her through the window playing outside as they were talking.
Right.
Um, you know, so you get the contrast. Heidi is like, you know, she's just a little kid. She shouldn't have to be caught up in all this, but unfortunately, she is.
All
And
right.
the
All right.
the preacher, the pastor, he mentioned that grandfather traveled the world, and he's like seen and learned many things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Date also, when she comes to his cabin, she makes reference to the fact that there are things in his past that could be brought up against him in court.
Yep.
So I'm curious, like, you know, the
Yeah.
show, it's feeding us like little hints about why. I mean, it's been 20 episodes yet, and we still don't know very much about grandfather.
That's right.
So it's only parsing out like little tiny hints,
Yep.
which I like,
Mm-hmm.
because the show is not, it's about Heidi, but he's still being kept in focus,
Yep.
you know, but like I wonder what is it that he did, or what is it that he saw that
Right.
have made him like have hardened his heart.
Yep. There are two things I want to mention. First, have you watched Citizen Kane?
No.
All right, this is that film is regarded like one of the best film ever,
Yeah.
and it have like the very same scenes of like on the
Rosebud.
Rosebud. That's right. It have the very same scene of the mother of the young Kane, who at that scene trying to give up her son for a better education. So we have like a guy talking to her inside the room, and we have Kane as a young child playing outside the window. It exactly like the scenes.
Huh.
So I think this is like the maybe some sort of the homage to
Yeah.
to that scene. So that's the first thing. The second is it's kind of sad to see like how Hades, yet move into like another place where she completely unfamiliar and kind of hated that as well. But it even sadder for the one who left behind.
Yeah.
Like all these scenes for all the people, the grandma who, like the shy won't be like upon her anymore.
Yeah, the golden light of the sunset.
And Peter, and even grandpa, when Peter come to visit grandpa, and grandpa ask him to have a dinner with him.
Yeah.
It's just so sad. It just, oh my god, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And to see that, like Hedy, when she goes, she didn't like say a proper goodbye to them because she doesn't know.
Yeah, she just yells to her grandfather,
Yep.
Oji-san, I'm going,
Yep.
because she thinks she's coming home.
Yep.
She
That's
thinks that they're
right.
going to go to Frankfurt, like Frankfurt is just some nearby village.
Yep.
They're going to come back.
That's
Uh,
sad.
Date just lying to children.
Oh well.
It doesn't. it doesn't matter. Like you get the sense that this at this point in history, it really doesn't matter very much what kids want.
Yep. Yep.
Um, you know,
So like,
they just need to go along with what the adults say. You know,
yeah.
that's something the grandfather probably hates.
Mm, mm,
He wants Heidi to do what she wants
that's
without
right.
interference from like adult society.
It
Um,
it
so
actually, yeah, but like at the same time, I think it actually a bit cruel, or it actually just a bit, yeah, cruel of him to, like to let Dete ask Heidi, and let her decide for herself, because he's just like 8 years old, not
yeah,
that young, but
but
still
I
young.
think that's very telling of his character, is
Yep.
that
True.
he assumes Heidi will, you know, she won't want to go, but he's not willing to involve himself in that choice.
Yep. Yep.
On the one hand, he wants Heidi to make her own decisions, but on the other hand, I think he is also like part of him is scared of involving himself in that decision and like potentially being rejected.
Yep.
Uh, I
Aye.
I think that he wants to protect himself.
Right. Right. Right.
That's why
Yep.
he lives alone in his cabin.
Uh.
He wants to shield himself from the decisions and the opinions of
Yep.
others because he's probably very fragile on some
Yep.
level. So he can't, you know, he won't like run after Heidi and he won't even involve himself in her choice.
Yep.
Uh, he probably can't bring himself to do it because he's scared.
Hmm.
That's my theory anyway.
My God. What can I say? Like the children's show from 50 years ago actually bring a lot of like a really provoking themes.
Yeah.
So mature, man. All
Yeah,
right.
well, I mean, this is based on a work of children's literature. It's like seen as a classic,
Yep.
and given the time period in which Heidi was originally written, which I believe was the 1800s. Um,
Huh.
I mean, I was speaking earlier about how what kids want is not that important in
Yep. Yep.
this time period.
Mm.
But if you phrase it another way, it's that kids aren't treated as like little balls of sunshine or as they aren't held up as like they aren't given an elevated position. Um,
Mm.
they're just members of society too.
Mm.
They're like adults in training, so to speak. So when this book was written, it probably wasn't written with the mindset that oh kids are special. We got to put on our kid gloves. You
Yep.
know, when we write about children or when we think about children, when we talk to them. Certainly, I think that one of the points of the story is that Heidi and all children ought to be respected.
Mm.
I think that's going to come through in the end. But at the same time, it's not like there's not a bunch of adults like hovering around Heidi and making sure that all of her she's getting the education that she needs and she's eating all the right food and she's enrolled in all the correct after school activities so that she'll get into a good college. And it's not like
Yep.
childhood is now where everything is meticulously planned out.
Yep.
um, I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there.
Well. All
It's
right.
just it's different. The depiction of childhood is different.
Yep.
It's simpler.
Right.
And so I think that's probably why a kid show can touch on some more adult themes. Let's say
Yep.
is that there's not the same culture surrounding childhood as exists in the 21st century.
Mm. But they still let you know for sure that it's a kid show because you remember the narration. Because when they reappear, they have to make sure that you know this is the characters
Well,
who
a
appear in the
lot of
first
anime
episodes.
do that. Not necessarily with a narrator, but they include flashbacks. nonstop. Like, and anime will commonly include flashbacks to events that have happened in the same episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just
Right.
doing it with a narrator on top is, to me, is not that big a, you know,
All right.
not that big a departure from what I expect from anime, I guess.
All right. So we can get to Clara, the new characters. I,
Hold up.
I, sorry.
Hold up. We got to talk about episode 17
All right.
because it's the best.
All right.
That's the one with the conversation between the grandfather and the pastor, which we
Alright,
already
so-
talked about a little bit.
So the two, I think, the name of the title name is like the two visitors or something.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. So I guess one would be the pastor. What's the other one?
Later.
But she doesn't actually. Oh, I guess she does show up at the very end.
Yeah, yeah. She show up at very end. So yes.
Um,
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
But
let's talk about that.
the thing I want to talk about episode 17, like in particular, is like when the preacher man, whatever, when he goes into the house.
Yep.
Heidi she's sent outside. So she can't be with her grandfather, and then she goes over to Joseph.
Yep.
And he just like goes back to sleep. So
Right.
you get the. Wait, do I have the timing of this? Do I have the timing right? No, this is after. It's after the pastor leaves. She tries to talk to her grandfather, but he like refuses to engage with her, and he starts milking the goats.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And it's clear that he's kind of frightening when he's in a bad mood, especially for little Heidi.
Yep.
So she leaves, and then she tries to play with Joseph. He's asleep, and so she's left without anyone to talk to, and she just has to entertain herself. And there's like a wide shot of her jumping back and forth in the grass, and the camera's like really pulled back from her, so it's evident, like given the framing of the scene, it's evident how alone she is because there's so much emptiness on either side of her, and she's just jumping back and forth in place.
Yep.
And that's what leads into the commercial break. I thought that scene was masterful
Right.
because it foreshadows like her loneliness without any children her own age to
Yep.
play with.
Yep.
Because she only has these two companions, the dog and the grandfather.
And sometimes Peter.
Yeah, sometimes Peter, but in that shot she's so alone.
Yeah.
And it comes right after her grandfather, his anger being so evident,
Right.
and like Joseph's, his unwillingness to play just at that particular moment. So she has to make up a game to play by herself, and it was very sad, that moment when she seems totally alone.
Yep. And actually, it foreshadowed like like in the future event when she get into the cities and she, instead of like the emptiness of like the vast landscape, it's like she in of within the world, the four worlds. So she just like in the prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good. Wow.
I just thought that shot as the show like faded to black. I think that's what it does before its commercial break.
Right.
We don't have the Future Boy Conan like eye catch with the little spinning.
Yeah.
That
I
little
don't like
toy
that,
where
actually.
you didn't like that in Conan.
I didn't like that. I liked it the first few times, but it's become like repetitive.
But it was different every time.
It's a Lana. Come on.
I thought it was fun. I was just kind of like indifferent towards it, I guess. But yeah, I think what this show does is it just fades to black and then it comes back. But like the scene of her just jumping back and forth like that, and the show fading out into nothingness. Right after that, I was like, "Damn it! Don't cry, don't do it."
Okay,
and then
Villain Saga Araburu learn from this.
Oh, never mind. I'm good. The second you said Araburu, I just got mad. So no, I'm not sad anymore.
Okay.
And then I also from that episode I really liked the another moment when she's playing by herself. She's jumping rope, and she
Yep.
can only count up to 10. Once she
Oh
gets to
yeah.
10, she starts over again.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
even that is reinforcing the fact that she hasn't had a proper education. Like
Yep.
every single moment of this episode is just like
Yep.
so right on target for me.
Right. So yes, so one good thing that she two good things that she come to the city is one, she gonna learn how to write the language, and two, she gonna make another friend with the girl Clara, who's clearly interested to her,
Yeah.
and who want to like just spend more time with her. So I think
Well, we on that first point, we don't know what's going to happen with the lesson
yeah.
because that seems like what's going to happen next. Um,
Oh
that's going to be episode 21. But Heidi doesn't, she's a pretty bright kid, but she doesn't know what the alphabet is. As we saw in episode 16 when the boys are
yeah.
making fun of her because she doesn't know what the alphabet is. Um, she's gonna have to start from square one, and I'm sure Clara, having all the time in the world, being cooped up in her house, I'm sure she's progressing just fine in her studies. So Heidi
Uh,
is like a blank slate. I don't think that's gonna go very well.
actually that because when someone is a blank state, it actually more easier for them to learn the new things.
Yeah,
So
but the
like
the lessons are gonna be geared towards Clara.
she will
Heidi isn't.
be struggle at first, and then I think she the one who pick up things very fast. So I
I
think
would like to
when
see Clara teach her.
yeah, well that
You
makes
know,
sense.
I'm
Yep.
assuming like given the way that all the adults act so snobby and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's even the servants. Like
Yep.
for example, when Date
What's
rings the
his name
bell
again?
and Sebastian.
Ah,
No,
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sebastian's cool. He's a bro. Uh,
Right. The other one, the other
he's
girl.
yeah. Like, I mean, when Sebastian first, I think it's Sebastian who first answers the door. No, no, it isn't. I don't know.
I think that's
Anyway,
the much older guy. So
yeah.
no.
So Date rings the door, and then this very pompous looking attendant. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to ring the bell again."
Yep.
So that the maid will be summoned. Then the maid, like, the expression on her face is so haughty,
Yep.
as she leads them up the stairs. Everyone, this is a very rich family, and so even the servants are probably they have a relatively elevated place
Yep.
in society.
Mm.
And all of them have let it get to their head. Worst of all being what's her name, Rottenmeier. Um, but Sebastian's cool.
Yep.
Anyway, the point I kind of got distracted, but the point I was making that is if all the servants and the helpers around the house are acting this way, what is the teacher going to be like?
Yep.
I'm just afraid that the teacher is going to be a total jackass.
Yep.
But my hope is that when Clara, who as you said, she seems very interested in Heidi, and I'm sure she's like grateful more than she can express that she has a friend.
Mm.
I hope that Clara will like take pity on Heidi and tutor her like on their own, so
Yep.
that she can catch up. I just really really hope that happens.
Yeah, that would have been nice, and I think that could be the case because how interested yeah Clara is to Hardy, and how willing Hardy to learn things as well. So yeah, I think that can happen. Um, I was thinking of one other scenes with now I just kind of forgotten now.
It was a scene from like episode 19 or 20, I guess.
Yep. Right.
Was it the scene where she has to eat, like the one where
Oh yeah, that's right.
Rottenmeier is like giving her all this massive etiquette info dump, and Heidi just like drifts off to sleep.
No, yeah. Well, I just just poor Hattie. Like like even though she get into the dinner place, she just wanted to get the white bread for the
Yeah,
grandma. So she just hide it as well,
yeah,
tuck it in her little dress. Oh my god, that just sounds so nice. Oh my god, Heidi.
Yeah, as though the bread isn't going to be moldy and super hard. Uh,
Yep,
she like Heidi still doesn't seem to have a concept of how far away Frankfurt is, even though she made this journey with her aunt.
that's right.
She is just like, oh well, I got to go home. You
Yep,
know, Grandma is waiting for me. I have to go.
yep.
And that was the moment at the end of episode 20 where I was just like, I can't hold back the tears anymore. When she's like, no, I have to go home. And then Clara like sadly starts to wheel her wheelchair away.
Yep.
Clara's like, I can see that you hate it here. So even though I was really looking forward to having a friend,
You
I'll
can
I'll
go.
tell I'll tell Fräulein, whatever. I'm just gonna call her Rottenmeier.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell her to send you home. And then Heidi like watches her go out the door, and she's like, "Wait, I'll stay and be your friend." I was like, "Oh God."
Oh my god. You know what? Heidi is the best anime girl of all time.
That's a very real possibility.
So
Oh God.
nice. So yeah, the last 5 episodes was really really great.
Yeah.
I don't even know how how this gonna end up. I do think that we got like an act here when Handy in a new world, but eventually she gonna get back to the mountain and the wilderness with her grandpas.
Yeah, and I
But I
think
think
Clara's gonna go with her.
that's right. I think that's not gonna happen in like 10 more episodes though.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll take a while. This show is it never seems to be in any hurry. It just seems like the characters their lives are playing out.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And that's what I want to say because I know that Handy is good at picking up things, but I want to see like her struggle with like learning the language or even um learn how to like how to behave like a properly. So
Yeah.
yes, I want to see like the process of she learning that, not like the closing overs. Like 1 month later and she already know everything.
Yeah, there's no chance that this show does that in my
Yep.
mind.
Yep.
Because yeah, the show does allow her to struggle. Like for example, the scene when she wakes up,
Yep.
and she realizes where she is after a while, and then she goes to the window and she wants to look outside.
Yep.
The show like will painstakingly like show her picking up a stool, putting it in front of. Well, first she just tries to tug on the curtain. That doesn't work. So then she
Yep.
gets the stool, she puts it in front of the curtain, then tugs on it. She
Yep.
can't get to the window. So then you like it animates her getting down off the stool, picking it up, moving it in front of the other window, getting on it. Like
Yep.
it just seems very filmic to me.
Right.
There's it doesn't just cut straight from one thing to another and oh, how did we get here? Oh, I guess it's just anime. They just needed to get to the next scene.
Five Fox.
Yeah, it's definitely has the opposite philosophy
Yep.
to Fire Force, and indeed most anime series. I think
Right.
it lets the whole scene play out as though a camera were just capturing all of it.
That's right.
Um,
Whew.
so it lets her struggle.
Yep.
Just in general, the whole
Yep.
trip to Frankfurt. We
Yep. That's right.
we got a lot of it. A lot of scenes of her like struggling against her aunt. This especially like the scene on the train when she tries to put the blanket on the baby,
Yep.
and it ends up crying, waking everyone up, and she's
That was
she's
so
shamed.
cruel of the mothers.
I mean, it certainly wasn't very kind of her, but she was woken up and her baby was crying, and she didn't know what had happened.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
she didn't know if Heidi was like pinching its cheeks or whatever.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But I mean, the whole point of that scene is like kind of kicking Heidi while she's down, like
Yep.
kind of reinforcing the fact that everything is like going wrong for her, and she's
Yep.
just
See
She must be
aliens.
feeling very lonely and sad, and I guess more than anything misunderstood, because the mother misunderstands Heidi's intentions.
Yep.
She doesn't realize that she was trying to, keep the baby warm.
Mhm.
Um, Date is like,
Sleeping.
rather than misunderstanding Heidi, she's like overriding her.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But thank goodness Date is out of the picture. Get out of here.
All right. I can still see the merit of Nete why she doing that, but yeah, well, that just
She's
that's just
she's
sad.
using she's using Heidi, I feel,
They,
because she works at that house, at the estate, whatever you want to call it, the mansion. I don't know.
yep.
She works there, and it seems to me that she's just like, she ducks out real quick. She brings Heidi, and then she's like, all right, well, I've been here a bit too long, so I'm leaving.
Yep. He's a
And then
child.
she's
Take
she's gonna
deal
yeah
with
she's
it.
gonna try to sneak her way back in.
Yep.
Once Heidi has found her place there, she'll be like, oh, look at this child that I brought you. Isn't she marvelous?
Yep. Jeez. All right. And guess what? From the poster, nah, that's gonna be spoilers.
From the poster,
Yeah.
what, Clara
All
going back
right.
to the Alps?
You, not that she even standing.
Oh
So
shit!
without the wheelchair.
Oh wow, that was a spoiler. I didn't even think about that. But yeah,
But
I mean, isn't that a common like kind of trope? You take people who are sick and you let them breathe in that fresh mountain air, and then all of a sudden they're cured. Uh,
uh, we we don't know about that. So yeah, then
yeah, I mean, but I think that's the idea. Like,
right.
Heidi will slowly uh, become part of the family, I guess. And then Clara will be so attached to her that when it's time for Heidi to go, Clara will be like, "Well, I'm going.
Yeah,
Goodbye, Rottenmeier."
that's good. So that's will be like the merge of two worlds. So we see like the best element of everything. We see like all our favorite characters in one place. Nice. Can't wait to see that.
Yep. I have fun watching this show every week.
Oh my god, that's so is. It's even heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's very frequently sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's just a classic show for a reason.
Well, we're only 40% of the way through.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Got a lot more to go. Who knows? Maybe it'll ruin itself by making Clara's recovery in the Alps like too fast or
Yep.
something.
That's right.
But it can
Oh,
afford to take its time because it has 50 episodes, so 52.
yeah. Oh, let's say I can walk now. Something like that.
You, dude, that's right. How is she gonna get the wheelchair up the mountain?
I had no idea. Maybe, maybe Heidi gonna carry her. Alright, let's just say, or maybe they just ride a horse or like a horse ride or like a car to that. Do they have car?
Do they have cars? No, it's still horses and buggies.
Alright, yeah. So no cars.
Yeah.
No Mercedes.
I don't know. Maybe grandfather will just like he'll get word that Heidi's coming back and he'll come down the mountain. He'll pick up Clara and carry her all the way up. I mean, someone's gonna have to carry her
Yeah.
unless she begins to walk before she even goes back to the
I don't
Alps.
think that's gonna happen. We will know.
I mean, that's the more practical solution, I guess, to the question of how's she gonna get up the mountain. Just she was cured by friendship. The power of
That's
friendship
That's right.
returned the use of her legs to her.
Heidi is more like a martyr. Oh, she's not a martyr. Sorry, she's like an angel.
Right.
Protect everyone.
It's a miracle.
Yep. That's right. That's right. All right.
All right,
For
let's wrap it up.
listeners, yep. For listeners, so just let you know that two things. So first, we're gonna drop Araburu. Whether we're gonna pick one show, not necessarily this season, to cover, or we just gonna scrap it all together. That's gonna be our decisions. You will know basically in the next podcast.
Right.
And
So we got 2 weeks to think it over.
that's right. And second thing that we're gonna take 1 week break. So we're gonna see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you then. Maybe with a new show, maybe not. But
Oh.
things will be different for sure.
That's
Thank
right.
God.
And our life gonna be different as well. And Hedi's life gonna be different as well.
Oh
So
boy.
can't wait to see that. All right. Have fun, guys. Have a good
See you
week.
later.